Tuesday. Welcome into Soccer Morning here on WorldSoccerTalk.com. Hope your week is off to a fine start. We've got a lot to look forward to today. Barcelona, Bayern Munich resuming hostilities in Germany. Bayern Munich down 3 goals. Can they come back? If anybody in the world can come back from down 3 goals on aggregate in a Champions League semifinal, it's probably Bayern Munich. Stefan Ersfeld, who covers German football from Germany, will join us in a couple of minutes to go over the likelihood of that happening. Pep Guardiola rumors swirling around. Is he going to Manchester City? My gut says no. That this was somebody, an excitable type somewhere, putting this out as if it was news, got picked up. Rumors, man. Rumors. That's how these work these days. Rumors go out. Nobody really checks the sourcing on said rumor. Next thing you know, it's accepted as if it's happening. But again, no, it's as if these things are conjured out of thin air. You got a lot of rumors coming around in MLS these days. Transfer or the roster deadline day is coming. I think that's today. Is that today? Is there some sort of roster deadline today? And then the summer window opens a couple of months from now. That may be the case. So you got a lot of names connected to MLS. A lot of guys who are either in New York or have been released by their clubs and may or may not have interest from MLS teams. So that's fun. That's fun. And Pep rumors are fun. To Manchester City. Jurgen Klopp to Liverpool. I don't know if it's an actual rumor or not, or just wishful thinking on the part of Liverpool fans. Arsene Wenger seems to be pretty entrenched in his job, not going anywhere, even though Arsenal slipped yesterday, lost to Swansea 1-0. And this was again an opportunity for Arsene Wenger, losing at home to Swansea in a very much a smash and grab type of performance by the Swans. An opportunity for Arsene Wenger to moan and whine and complain about the way somebody played against Arsenal. Arsenal, an overwhelmingly strong attacking team, goes up against a weaker side who doesn't have nearly the talent. The weaker side plays some defensive soccer, and Arsene Wenger then complains about it when he loses. I don't understand this. I mean, if you want to feel like you have the moral high ground, that's fine, but to go out in public and to whine about it and consistently do so. This is not the first time Arsene Wenger's done this. He's done this many, many times. You lost me, Arsene. This is a game that you're supposed to win by any means necessary within the rules. And as far as I can tell, Swansea didn't break any rules. In fact, they got the benefit of the goal line technology when Gomez's header went in and came back out after a save by Fabianski, and no one knew if it actually went in, and the announcers were confused. Did it hit the post? Did it not hit the post? I think Swansea deserved to win that game. And when I say deserved, I don't mean it in that, who played better? Who had more of the ball? Who connected more passes? Who created more chances? I mean, who put the ball in the net? That's who deserves to win the game, the team that puts the ball in the net the most times. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the way this game works, right? If you score the most goals, you win the game. And I think the reasoning is you deserve to win the game. I don't care how you go about it. It may not have been entertaining. I don't know how Swansea fans feel today. But come on. You beat Arsenal. You got to feel good about that. You beat Arsenal at the Emirates. Atlanta MLS owner Arthur Blank, also owner of the Atlanta Falcons, as you know, plans to announce the name for his Atlanta MLS entry ahead of the Gold Cup semifinals. What date is that, Trevor? I didn't pull the date. Obviously, that's later this summer. I don't know what they've narrowed it down to. I know Terminus Legion has held their own sort of unofficial polling and suggested a couple of things to the team. I've seen some new designs, fan designs, a potential crest this week, which is all fun. Speculation, all fun. What can they call this team? The names I've seen suggested, none of them strike me right. None of them hit me in the right place. And I don't know that that's fair. But what do Atlanta fans want to do? July 22nd. Thank you, Trevor. Locomotive Atlanta. Terminus ATL. These are all from the designs I saw. What else? At the Atlanta Rise? No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. 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 No Atlanta Rise. I know that's supposed to be a reference to the Phoenix, and Atlanta has Phoenix imagery in their history, and fine. But not Rise. I like the train iconic. What is that word? What's that word I'm trying to say? I like the train elements being incorporated. I just don't know how you do that and make it look cool and make it sound good. Locomotive Atlanta, too derivative to me. For me, no, can't do it. Locomotive ATL or whatever the heck that was. Terminus ATL. I mean, something Terminus, I guess. Sounds pretentious. I guess that's okay. I don't know. They can be the Atlanta somethings. Just don't know what. Bayern Munich, Barcelona, as I mentioned today, 2:45 Eastern, Fox Sports 1. Barcelona up 3-0 on aggregate. Big game in Germany. Not as big as it might have been because the Germans went and threw up a dud in Barcelona. Barcelona was amazing. Messi was amazing. Is Pep Guardiola coaching for his Bayern Munich? I don't want to go into that. That's all that big talking point, hot take stuff. We don't want to do that. Rafa Marquez headlines the Mexico Copa America roster as announced by Miguel Herrera. Goalkeepers, Jesus Corona, Alfredo Talavera. This is mostly so you guys can hear me butcher these pronunciations. Meliton Hernandez, Carlos Salcedo. I'm not going to do them all. Carlos Salcedo's in the defender pool. Rafa Marquez. Miguel Herrera from Pachuca. Your midfielders, Luis Montes, Marco Fabian, Juan Carlos Medina, and the other Jesus Corona from SC20. Forwards, Raul Jimenez is in that group. And then there's a reserve list, which includes Isaac Brizuela, the dual international who chose Mexico. That's right. Isn't that right? Jurgen Damm, up-and-coming young player. Surprised not to see him in the main list on this team. And hopefully we can grab one of our friends from down in Mexico at some point in the next couple of days to talk about this roster and how the makeup looks for what Miguel Herrera is trying to accomplish. And by the way, let's stop with the headlines, various soccer news outlets that say Chicharito Hernandez was snubbed from this team. No, he was not snubbed from this team. He's going to be on the Gold Cup team because Herrera is prioritizing the Gold Cup. Thank you. Now that that's over with. Alessandro Nesta, I don't know if you saw this. There was some Heineken promotion, and he was talking about getting his badges. He says he wants to start his coaching career in MLS. Now, obviously, he's got connections to Montreal, having played there. I don't know if that's where he's targeting, but it would be interesting to see Alessandro Nesta land in this league and as a coach. And if he does do that, does he have the knowledge? I'm not saying he's going to be a manager or a head coach right off the bat, but does he have the knowledge to navigate all of the arcane nonsense that comes with being an MLS head coach already? Or does he need to learn on the job? I can think of some players who have been here before who it might be nice to see come back as managers, as head coaches, as even assistants for that matter. All right. The Champions League dominates today. Let's take a break. When we come back, Stefan Ersfeld will give us a look at the chances Bayern Munich can turn this around. It's Soccer Morning on WorldSoccerTalk.com. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
Face in the crowd, you're talking too loud, but I can't hear you calling.
Where is it? I don't have it. I blanked it yesterday. Do you have it? I don't know. Hi, I'm Jason Davis, and I want to invite Soccer Morning listeners to join me this Friday for FC Dallas against New York Red Bulls. During the game, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and opinions about the MLS action at Rabble.tv. It's a brand new television experience that gives fans the ability to talk and banter about the beautiful game. You'll get a chance to hear my opinions about the strengths and weaknesses of Dallas and the Red Bulls, as well as post questions to me via the live conversations thread. If you have an iPhone, great. You can use the Rabble app to hear me. Or you can go directly to the website at Rabble.tv. So come on, Soccer Morning listeners, mark your calendar for this Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and let's hang out together at Rabble.tv to talk Red Bulls, the Hoops, and MLS. I look forward to seeing you there.
Welcome back to Soccer Morning on World Soccer Talk with Jason Davis.
Back on Soccer Morning and joined now on the telephone by Stefan Ersfeld. You can find his work at ESPN FC, among other places, covering German football. Stefan, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. Good to be back.
It's good to have you back. I think we can't possibly bury the lead here, although we'll get to some other items of interest. But it is Bayern Munich attempting to overcome a 3-goal deficit against Barcelona in the Champions League semifinals today. And I like putting this simply to start, Stefan. Is it possible?
Well, it is possible. They've shown they can actually score goals. They're not playing Shakhtar Donetsk or Porto, although. So, like Guardiola said yesterday, they probably have to be patient and just be very lucky to maybe score a goal in the first half and get to Barcelona in the second half to narrow in like with a 2-0. Normally, you'd say, looking at Bayern's form in recent weeks, it's not possible, but still football. So that's their best chance today. That football is the game we all love because it's the unexpected happens at times.
Now, of course, I mean that's why we watch, and we're going to continue to we're going to watch this game, even though for a lot of people that third Barcelona goal was the dagger, and perhaps put Bayern Munich down. But there were a lot of questions about Pep's tactics in Barcelona. What would you expect out of him today, and what did you make of that first leg?
It was pretty weird to see him start with the 3-man defense and playing one-on-one against Suarez, Messi, and Neymar for a start, and putting Rafinha as left back, which he only played once in the cup against Dortmund, but only for a couple of minutes, and then they changed that again. So the main problem for Bayern is that they don't have a lot of speed in attack. With Robben out, with Ribéry out, they have to rely on long balls to Lewandowski, who has just been more in the role he played at Dortmund in recent weeks. So he deflected the long balls and bouncing back to Müller, and they actually formed a pretty good partnership up front. Will that be enough against Barcelona? Good counter-attacking side? I'm not sure. So they were really unlucky in the first leg to receive that third goal. Looked bad on the first goal, and well, I'm not sure anyone could defend Messi's second goal, which is just amazing how he walked past Boateng, even if he slipped, which can happen in the face of Messi.
I'll ask you about that. I mean, obviously, this is a world, a very connected world we live in. That Twitter is going crazy during that game, and when Jerome Boateng goes down and Messi just makes him look foolish, and I said it in the immediately aftermath, he's going to make any defender look foolish, anybody in the world in that moment, more than likely. How is the press been towards Boateng in Germany? Because I feel like people think the guy is just crushed, but I don't know that that's the case. He's a professional.
There has not been any focus on Boateng in the German press.
Good.
We've been discussing Mario Götze mostly here, who only got on after 79 minutes. So Boateng is just got into this match on the back of maybe his best season at Bayern. He's been the key also in the build-up play when Xabi Alonso form dropped in recent weeks. He actually managed to take over that part as well. So he looks a bit exhausted, but it's been a long season for them, and they directly came back from the World Cup, did this tour of the US, and never really had a break. So it's unfortunate that they now play Barcelona, who are in this great form. But nobody really thought to put the blame on Boateng himself.
Yeah, certainly that was just a lot of factors involved in that game, and injuries have been one of them. I'm looking here. Of course, we're going to focus on Bayern Munich and the lineup they're going to put out, who they can put out. And you have a post over at ESPN FC that discusses a couple of scares, Manuel Neuer and Thiago Alcantara. What's the situation there with those two players?
I think they'll be able to play. Neuer received a minor knock in the Bundesliga match against Augsburg, where he shouldn't have played at all, but Pepe Reina was sent off after 13 minutes, so Neuer needed to play and had a small, I think, ankle bruise. He should be fit to play, and so will be Thiago. They just received treatment on Monday, and will be back in the squad today.
Now, I don't like what ifs. This is just the hand that Bayern Munich has been dealt and Pep has been dealt. But how much better is this team if they have Robben, Alaba, Ribéry? I mean, this is how, in a percentage type of way, how would you rate this team compared to a full-strength Bayern Munich team?
It's probably they're running at maybe 60%.
Right, yeah.
So, because player like Arjen Robben and even like Frank Ribéry, who's been struggling with injuries for a while now, but when he was fit and he played, they have a totally different approach. They approach the opponent with a lot of speed and manage to get past them and direct duels and go all the way down to the touchline, pass the ball in, and make some moves that nobody else can at this club. They're both getting old, and that's going to be of a major concern this summer for Bayern. But right now they're going at 60%, even like David Alaba, who played everywhere. He played on 5 different positions this season. And so all of those 3 players have speed as well, and that's a bit lacking in the midfield with Philipp Lahm, Bastian Schweinsteiger, and Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, Lam coming back. Interesting in the last leg. This is a season where Bayern. We don't. This isn't a foregone conclusion. They could possibly come back, but let's just imagine that Barcelona finishes the task today. This is a season where Bayern Munich will have the Bundesliga title, but will have lost out on the Champions League in the semifinals and has lost out on the German Cup. Is there any way to frame it as a success, and how much of the failures in the two knockout tournaments does Pep Guardiola take?
Well, it can still be labeled as a success, even though it's a bit of a weird season for them because they won the league without playing, or they won the league on a Sunday and they had played on Saturday, and Wolfsburg lost at Borussia Mönchengladbach the next day. So they actually weren't on the pitch when they won the league. And they were always shooting for the treble, which I'm not sure why has been like the main target. And so they have really high goals. And once you fail to achieve them, and that's what happened in the Dortmund match after 70 minutes. They were 1-0 up and had total control of the match. And all of a sudden it changed. Dortmund brought on Mkhitaryan for Kagawa, and he changed Dortmund's setup a bit, and Bayern struggled for whatever reason. Dortmund equalized, and after that, the game was finished for Bayern, even though they were playing 10 men for most of the extra time. And looking at the way they slipped in the penalty shootout, it's a bit weird. I think you can't blame Guardiola for whatever happened against Bayern because the team out there just failed to show anything else after 70 minutes. They failed to score a second goal before that. Had bad luck with the referee who didn't call a penalty. But and also against Barcelona, loads of injured players, high expectations. And they were actually hanging on to a goalless draw until 15 minutes from time. Yeah. So haven't been all that bad, but seems fortune has turned around for them. A whole lot of luck with the referee decisions and even going through all the injuries unharmed. But that has changed. But like I said right at the start, they've shown against Porto especially that they actually can turn around matches, because they went into this match with a 3-1 deficit and played like Germany v Brazil at the World Cup with the same team they're going to face today.
There's been, you talked about some of the decisions they have in the summer. There's been speculation that Pep Guardiola might move, and I think most of this is blatant rumor, and there's not a lot to it. And you can tell me if anybody in Germany actually believes that Pep might leave. But there certainly is. He is the type of manager who is always looking for a challenge. I mean, he took Barcelona to the top, and he's obviously at Bayern Munich. Do you think he would leave before he reaches the pinnacle there, or could somebody like Manchester City pry him away?
I think the story with Pep is that parts of the press, especially in Munich, feel they're not getting anything from him. So he's not talking to the press at all, but for the pressers he has to do. So there's like a general feeling they're not really in the loop. So that's a problem. And at the club directly, I think he'll actually stay because he doesn't want to end up as a failed manager at Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich, who have praised him as the best manager in the world and have turned him into a godlike figure, will not admit defeat as well. Thing is, in the summer they need to rebuild their squad. So they'll be looking at selling players, buying young players, and should Pep not commit to a contract beyond 2016, they have to make some call because they can't hand all the...
Lost Stefan there for just a second. Let me see if I can pull him back up. I apologize. It's a tech issue on my end. Interesting stuff there from Stefan on the situation in Bayern Munich with Pep Guardiola. Now, obviously, he's going to be an in-demand manager. You know what? Let's can we take a quick break here for just a second, and I'll pull up Stefan. We'll get him back. Got a couple of directly American-related topics to talk to Stefan about. So if I can get just a quick break, Trevor, and we'll come back and we'll grab Stefan for a couple more minutes. And yeah, all right. Soccer Morning, WorldSoccerTalk.com. Be right back.
Welcome back to Soccer Morning on World Soccer Talk with Jason Davis.
All right, just a little quick break there to get Stefan Ersfeld back on the line. I apologize for the interruption there. Stefan, we were talking about Pep Guardiola, and you were discussing the press and how he's interacting with the press. So you see this as, I mean, he's got a contract situation that's coming up, and Bayern Munich, again, has built him up. They've pushed all in on Pep Guardiola. Where would they even go if he didn't stick around?
That's the main question. That's going to be maybe Ancelotti will be leaving Real Madrid, so he could be an option. But they want to fall back to like a young coach, young unexperienced coach, because they've just built up so much reputation, momentum, whatever you're going to call it. But in the last 4 years, they've turned into a major football brand worldwide. So the coach is also a selling point and a marketing point. So they will look at a big name, and maybe it's the best way actually to build a squad as well, to bring in new players from the outside of Germany. Because maybe you can't convince or say they're going to take Lucien Favre, who put Borussia Mönchengladbach back into Champions League, or is about to put them back in. You maybe not be able to convince a Griezmann from Atletico Madrid to join Bayern Munich then, if you have an inexperienced coach on that level.
Yeah, we've got a comment from Robert on Twitter. It's not, the question, I think, is not really one that needs an answer, but there is something to be said for the fact that Bayern Munich is increasing their profile in the United States, one of the larger markets left to them, and the Bundesliga will be moving to Fox here next season, which will mean it'll have a much larger platform than it's been getting the last decade or so. And a coach like Pep Guardiola draws attention and is a marketing tool in that way. Another marketing tool, obviously, Jurgen Klopp has left, so we'll see what happens at Borussia Dortmund. Before I have to move on, Stefan, a couple of interesting things happening in Germany as it relates to both MLS and the U.S. men's national team. First, the situation at Schalke and Kevin Prince Boateng specifically. The stories I saw, or at least the headlines I read, because I have to consume so much information, indicated this was a direct response to losing to Cologne. Is that correct?
It was a direct response, but not. He was actually being sold anyway this summer, so they panicked because they are in the danger of losing out on European football altogether and falling behind Borussia Dortmund, who played a miserable season and are their biggest rivals, like local rivals. So they panicked, and on Sunday, the sporting executive Horst Held said, we have to do something, and some players will not survive it. So next day he sacked Kevin Prince Boateng and Sidney Sam, both being pretty influential in the squad, but against the coach and have their own head. Like you probably know with Kevin Prince Boateng, who was also sent back from the World Cup last season and has been going to rough spells in Germany before. So he's a high earner, and he's on some 8 million euros. Bild Zeitung claimed last week, and they just wanted to get rid of him in order to bring in Sami Khedira from Real Madrid, another high earner, but they can't afford both. So Kevin Prince Boateng was shopped around in recent weeks, and he scored against Stuttgart, which is a winner, which handed them only their second win in the last 12 games. And everybody was expecting, well, it's going to be ending somehow, but maybe it's going to be an okay ending for both sides. But after Horst Held panicked on Sunday, that changed. Now he's on the market. I'm not sure, but he's still got a contract for a year, so he could actually sit out the contract and just get the 8 million euros.
Right. That sounds like a very Kevin Prince Boateng thing to do. Now he has been linked to the New York Red Bulls here in MLS, although that rumor has been squashed by their manager Jesse Marsch in the last day or two. So I would have issues with the wisdom of paying a lot of money to a player like Kevin Prince Boateng in a league that doesn't have a lot of high earners like him, considering his history. So whether or not he lands here, it is fascinating to see what's going on at Schalke. A player that's in the U.S. setup, a very important player, was a strong performer at the World Cup last year. Fabian Johnson, part of that Gladbach team that, as you said, is getting back to Champions League football. Just to give me a sense of how important Fabian Johnson has been to Gladbach this season and how he's playing these days.
Well, Johnson was struggling after the World Cup and after making the switch from Hoffenheim to Borussia Mönchengladbach. But in the second half, after actually clashing with Lucien Favre during the winter break, he found his spot, and Johnson had hoped to play right back. Now he's playing in left midfield, but he beat Torgan Hazard, the brother of Eden Hazard, to the place, as well as Traoré, an international who joined from Stuttgart last summer, and a pretty fast player. So he's played nearly every match in the second half of the season, scored one goal and set up a couple of goals. I think it's like 7 goals, and Gladbach have been perfect, and he's been really influential for them without showing it. But they have other players who are like the marquee players, like Patrick Herrmann, who's playing a blinder of a season, and some other guys. But actually, Fabian Johnson, nobody had expected it, has turned into a real starting formation player at Borussia Mönchengladbach, and he can even do better. He needs to start scoring goals because he sometimes wastes good opportunities.
Before I let you go, Stefan, a quick word on the table as it sits. Obviously, Bayern Munich champions, Wolfsburg, Mönchengladbach, still a chance that they could swap places, I imagine. Leverkusen in 4th. And at the bottom of the table, Freiburg, Hanover tied on 31, Paderborn tied on 31, Stuttgart at the bottom. How do you see the last couple of match days playing out, and who's going to be playing Champions League football? Who's going to be going down?
Well, Champions League football is pretty obvious. It's going to be like the first 3 teams, which is Bayern, Wolfsburg, and Gladbach. Leverkusen is going to play the playoffs in the summer. Right. Who's going down? Stuttgart will be meeting Hamburg at the weekend, which is
that's a big match there.
big match. You also have Stuttgart traveling to Paderborn on the last match day, as well as Hanover playing Freiburg on the last match day, and it's going to be really interesting. Another club who could actually run into problems are Hertha Berlin, who have 34 points right now, but haven't won in a while, and playing Frankfurt at home and Hoffenheim away. So their 34 points might not be enough. But you ask me now, it'll probably be Stuttgart, Paderborn, and Freiburg going down. Hamburg, they have somehow always manage to stay up in the league. They did that last year, and remember, the 16th place club has to play a relegation playoff against the third place club in Bundesliga 2, so they get a second shot.
You did not say Hanover, which is, I think, encouraging to American soccer fans, only because we now have Steve Cherundolo as an assistant manager at Hanover, and I could love to see him continue in the Bundesliga with that club.
Yeah, well, it'd be great to see him. They've really been struggling this season. They have Michael Franzek as the coach, but they're playing Freiburg at home on the last match day. They should achieve it, even though they haven't won in 16 games. But every streak will come to an end at some point. Cherundolo should be... well, we'll see what happens at Hanover, because Franzek's only there for the remaining 2 matches of the season. They're going to install a new coach after that. Maybe it's the Cherundolo stays in as the assistant coach and continues to work on his coaching credentials and takes over the club at one point. He's pretty much based there.
Yeah, he's certainly beloved at Hanover. It would be troubling to see a new coach come in and Steve have to leave, but let's hope that doesn't happen. Stefan Ersfeld.
Well, he was working in the youth department, so he probably just go back.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, and obviously, as you said, working on his credentials and his badges. Stefan Ersfeld, you can find his work at ESPN FC. He's on Twitter as at your Ersfeld, UERSFELD. Make sure you're following him. Even when he tweets in German, it's still good. Stefan, I appreciate your time.
Okay, take care, Jason. Right, bye.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll open up the phone lines, take your phone calls here on Soccer Morning, 646-832-3909. Get them in. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Jason Davis, and I want to invite Soccer Morning listeners to join me this Friday for FC Dallas against the New York Red Bulls. During the game, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and opinions about the MLS action at Rabble.tv. It's a brand new television experience that gives fans the ability to talk and banter about the beautiful game. You get a chance to hear my opinions about the strengths and weaknesses of Dallas and the Red Bulls, as well as post questions to me via the live conversations thread. If you have an iPhone, that's great. You can use the Rabble app to hear me, or you can go directly to the website at Rabble.tv. So come on, Soccer Morning listeners, mark your calendars for this Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's hang out together at Rabble.tv to talk Red Bulls, the Hoops, and MLS. I look forward to seeing you there.
Welcome back to Soccer Morning on World Soccer Talk with Jason Davis.
Phone lines are now open 646 832 3909. 646 832 3909. Changing my cadence a little bit on that. Working on that. Get your phone calls in on whatever strikes your fancy today. We got the Champions League coming up. Second leg, semifinals. Barcelona 3-0 aggregate lead over Bayern Munich. Pep Guardiola trying to figure out how to overcome a 3-goal deficit at home. And again, if anybody's capable of it, it's Bayern Munich. If anybody can figure out a way to score 3 goals, keep Barcelona off the board, it's probably Bayern Munich. But as Stefan said, it's a team operating at 60% capacity. No Alaba, no Ribery, no Robin. Too many missing pieces for Pep. And here's the problem is that history does not remember those things. Not really. People who live through it, people who really pay attention, the diehard soccer fans of Bayern Munich, of Barcelona, maybe in 10 years' time, depending on how this leg plays out, will remember this tie and remember that Bayern Munich was at 60% capacity. Now, will that change how we appreciate Messi's performance in the first leg? No, probably not, and it shouldn't. But it will as it fades away, as the knowledge of the injury situation of Bayern Munich fades away, people just think, oh yeah, remember in 2015 when Barcelona destroyed Bayern Munich? Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich? Former Barcelona manager Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich? That's all they're going to remember. And when you look at it in the history books, it's not going to say Barcelona 3, Bayern Munich 0, whatever the final aggregate scoreline ends up being. It's not going to say that, and then underneath say Bayern Munich had several injuries to Arjen Robben, Frank Ribery, David Alaba. No, it's not going to say that. It's just going to say the scoreline, and then you're going to go, oh, look how great Barcelona was in 2015 compared to Bayern Munich. I don't know, the nature of sport. Sometimes the conversations go off the rails and are ridiculous, things about power rankings and trying to determine who's the best this and who's the best that. Sometimes we lose the thread when it's Messi versus Ronaldo. But this is what sports are for. This is what we do. We take a team from 2015 and we want to compare it to the team from 2010. Barcelona in 2015 under Luis Enrique against Barcelona in 2010, 2011 against under Pep Guardiola. Which one's better, guys? I mean, we can appreciate both. We can argue about which one's better, which is a better team. They're different teams. They play different ways. They still have Lionel Messi. Both of them. The amazing Lionel Messi. Andres Iniesta, different player than he was back then, clearly. Things have changed a little bit, but it doesn't mean we don't recognize this Barcelona team as one of the great teams of the century so far. Only 15 years in. 646-832-3909. Take you up to 10 o'clock, depending on how the calls go. If you got anything on your mind, it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be Champions League. What about this Atlanta MLS name? I need suggestions for the Atlanta MLS name. Hey, let me just see if I can pull up these suggestions. It was the Terminus Legion that did that poll, right? Terminus Legion being the supporters group, the main supporters group for Atlanta MLS. Here it is. Supporters group narrows soccer team suggestions from back in January. The Atlanta Blackhearts. I saw a badge for that one. It's like there's a deer. I don't know. Is it a deer? I guess it's a big deer. Like a buck. The Atlanta Blackhearts. The Atlanta Empire. The Atlanta Firebirds. The Atlanta Resurgence. I don't think it's Atlanta Terminus. Is it? Is it Atlanta Terminus? Presentation matters, right? You're going to be living with this name forever. Forever. You better pick a good one. You better pick a good name. I just none of those sort of strike me as, I don't know, that great. Okay, now I'm at the Terminus Legion website. And I know guys over there. I think some of them listen to the show. If I'm saying anything wrong, guys, call in. Let me know. 646-832-3909. Here are so they have stage 1, stage 1, stage 2, voting. I just like going back and looking at all of the possibilities. These are the ones presented by the Terminus Legion at the beginning of the year, on January 1st. The Bantams, which I don't know if people know. Which English club is called the Bantams? There's an English club called the Bantams. I can't remember which one that is. Do people know what a bantam is? Bantams, small chickens noted for their aggressive nature. So little fighting chickens. Those are bantams. Black hearts. Hart is the old English word for stag or deer. So there you go. Empire. Firebirds. Mentioned those. Kings. Atlanta Kings. The Atlanta Kings. Locomotives. Instead of Locomotive Atlanta or something like that, this is Locomotives. The whole Terminus thing, by the way, the original name of the city of Atlanta was Terminus. The end of a line, the end of the rail line. Rail runners. Resurgence. I don't know about that. And you could just, they could be Atlanta FC. Or SC. That's what we call it. We call it soccer here, guys. Bill Reese on Twitter, I think the Empire Supporters Club of Red Bull New York might have an issue with Atlanta Empire FC. Okay, fine. Really? I mean, I get it. I don't think they're going to go with it. I don't think they're going to go with Empire. Yes, Bradford City. Thank you, Juan. Bradford City are the Bantams. I think that's right. And it's one of those deals where it's not their official nickname. It's just the name that people, it's like, West Brom is the Baggies. That it's not like on their badge or anything. Mike says the Bantam sticks with the bird themes that other teams have, Hawks, Falcons, and the Thrashers. Well, Thrashers was a terrible name. I'm sorry, it was. I'm not glad that hockey left Atlanta, but Thrashers was a terrible name. Hawks and Falcons are birds of prey. They're badass birds. No, I'm not saying they're the greatest birds in the animal kingdom, but they're badass birds. A bantam is a chicken. It's a chicken. Now, you can't go Hawks, Falcons. I guess you can't go Eagles, right? I guess you really can't do that. Atlanta Eagles. And as much as I rail against the whole FC thing in a country that calls it soccer, I do like mixing it up. I'm not always on board with city name, nickname. I'm not always on board with that. And I'm certainly not on board with the singular stuff. I'm not on board with, okay, Revolution is fine, I guess. Not super enthralled by that. Empire, I guess that's okay. But again, you end up with, it's not like they're the Atlanta Empire. They're like Empire Soccer Club or something, and then they throw Atlanta on the top. Let's go to Daniel in Atlanta. Daniel in Atlanta. LA Galaxy fan Daniel in Atlanta.
Hey, good morning, Jason.
Good morning, sir.
How about something like the Rebellion or something like that? I don't know.
Well, I think, and I'm not a Southerner by birth or upbringing. I lived there plenty of times when I was a kid, and my family's not really from there, and I'm not from Atlanta. But I kind of feel like they want to avoid that stuff a little bit, Daniel. Like, I kind of feel like they want to stay away from anything that's sort of Civil War era, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of touchy, right?
Yeah, it really seems like they're trying to avoid that whole Civil War, Deep South Rising, all that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be when you mentioned Atlanta Rising, the first thing I thought was like the South will rise again or something like that. You know?
Well, okay, it's Rise, which is even worse than Rising. Atlanta Rising, maybe. Atlanta Rise is terrible, and I don't know. I think that the whole Phoenix imagery thing is, I don't think that's tied necessarily to the Civil War, but maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think it matters. I mean, ultimately, I want this team to be inclusive. I want the team name to represent everybody in Atlanta. And Atlanta is a very diverse city, so why not stay away from anything that's sort of tied to Atlanta's role as the one of the biggest cities in the South, from going back to Gone with the Wind and stuff.
I mean, Atlanta's really extremely diverse, and they would have to connect with everybody in a way that'll make everybody feel all right. I was just joking around with the whole Civil War thing. I mean, I've grown up in Atlanta, and I like reading on the Civil War and the history of the Civil War, but it's just, that was a dark time in our era that I don't want to relive again.
Right, exactly. Right, of course. I mean, we all agree on that, Daniel. There's no issue with that at all. So, if you had a choice of the ones I gave out there, what would you say?
Locomotives, I think.
The what?
Or the locomotives.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. I see what. Okay. I like sort of the train thing. I don't know how to fit it in where it's perfect for me, but I can see where locomotives would be your choice. What else you got today?
Talking soccer-wise, I think when it comes to Champions League, I really want Munich to win. I think they're going to win. They proved it against.
It was Porto. It was Porto.
Porto is not Barcelona.
No, Porto is not Barcelona by any stretch of the imagination. And while I hope that we get to, okay, look, I don't have a dog in the fight. I can see whoever wins, I'm going to be fine with it. I just want some drama out of this match now. So what I want is Bayern Munich to make a furious comeback and it to come down to the last couple of minutes of the game, where I guess extra time is something I can root for. Give me a 3-0 Bayern Munich win today. That puts us at 3-3 on aggregate, and you go into extra time. And I don't know if I want penalties necessarily, but some sort of dramatic goal from one of the two sides would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want Bayern to go in and half-ass the job and not come out with a result. I mean, they're too good of a club to not have won the first leg, even with all the injuries that they've had. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of disappointing, and it's kind of disappointing in the situation that they're in against a club, arguably Barcelona, one of the best in the world. But even so, Munich has proven themselves time and time again that they're the ones to beat.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Pep Guardiola either. I don't know if I root for him. I love those Barcelona teams. I was not a fan. I didn't necessarily need them to win the Champions League to feel good about myself. But those Barcelona teams under Pep were something else to watch. Now, at Bayern Munich, I kind of feel like the guy, and this is not his fault because he wanted a new challenge. He stepped away from Barcelona. But I kind of feel like the guy's got this aura about him where he is, it's almost like he's godlike, and I think Stefan mentioned this. They've sort of built him up over at Bayern Munich into something so big that now I sort of resent that he is that guy. I resent the fact that he has this aura about him as if he can do no wrong, when clearly he's human, he's fallible, he can make mistakes. I think he made mistakes in Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but when you put somebody on such a high pedestal, you expect so much out of them, and then when they don't deliver, that's when everybody was like, "Why did we put him so high up?"
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
How much do you put on him though? Like, how much do you think of that as being Pep's doing, and how much do you think of that as the press is doing, and how much do you think is the fans doing? Because I think we've all built up Pep Guardiola in our minds, especially because of all that success with Barcelona, and now I know the German press has had some issues with him. And the fans for the most part still love him. I mean, I'm talking general soccer fans who view him as, who view his style choices and the way his teams play as sort of the pinnacle of soccer. Those people still idolize him, but I feel like he's fed it too. Like he's created this aura about himself and been a party to the notion that he is the best manager in the world, bar none, et cetera, et cetera. And that rubs me the wrong way.
Well, when you get told, "Hey, you're the best," no one can bring you down, that gets to your head. And of course, I'm not saying that Pep, gets to his head. He has proven that he's arguably one of the best in the world. But taking a challenge at a club like Bayern is a difficult task to do, especially when the press and the fans and everybody puts you, like I said, on a really high pedestal.
Well, I mean, I also think, thanks for the call, Daniel. I also think that there's some Phil Jackson to Pep Guardiola. And what I mean by that is I don't take anything away from him as in terms of his ability to manage players. I don't think I'm not trying to say he's not a great manager, an all-time great manager. But when it's difficult to judge a guy who goes from strength to strength. He goes from biggest club in the world to another biggest club in the world. He goes from having Lionel Messi and that team to having Bayern Munich and that team. I mean, that makes it tough to judge him equally against other managers. I mean, Jose Mourinho won a Champions League with FC Porto. I'm not saying Mourinho's a better manager right now, but that's a more difficult task than what Guardiola achieved at Barcelona. I don't know. It's difficult. Some stuff here on Twitter about Atlanta and their name. Ringo says that MLS should buy the Silverbacks name. NASL is trying to sell the team. NASL is running that team, I think. I think that's an owner, a league operated team right now. I'm not a fan of the Silverbacks name, but if you want the legacy to continue in Atlanta, I could see that, Ringo. No problem there. How about Atlanta Generals? Okay. All right. Atlanta Firebirds have Knight Rider on their badge. That would be amazing. Put Kit on the badge. Definitely do that. Absolutely. Let's see. Ringo says the Silverbacks were named after Willie B, the gorilla. That's ATL history. MLS Atlanta needs to keep that intact. Okay. Okay, sure. Let's hit the phone number one more time, 646-832-3909. Whether in Atlanta or otherwise, give me some ideas here. It could be something like, Atlanta. I don't have anything. I don't have any ideas. I keep coming back to the train motif. That's where I want them to go, but I want them to do it in a way that in sports and Atlanta. So Locomotive Atlanta doesn't work for me. That flat out doesn't work for me. I don't know where else you could go with that. Atlanta Locomotives sounds like a minor league baseball team, like the Chattanooga Lookouts. You guys remember? I don't know if this was a thing for most of you. Do you remember when minor league baseball hats were like the rage? Everybody had minor league baseball hats. That's what that sounds like to me. The Atlanta Locomotives. Locomotive Atlanta. I keep saying it. I keep coming back to it. 646-832-3909. Can Bayern Munich overcome the Barcelona deficit? What should Atlanta call themselves? And anything else that's on your mind the last couple minutes of a Tuesday show. Reminder, the SiriusXM FC show kicks off at 11 a.m. Eastern on Channel 94. You should be listening to that if you have SiriusXM FC. And here's the nice thing. If you do have a subscription and you do have SiriusXM FC, you can listen to the show on demand after the fact. You don't have to listen to it live. You can get I have the SiriusXM FC app on my telephone. And I can go back and listen. I don't necessarily listen to myself that often because I think that's kind of weird. Is that a thing people do? Go back and listen to the radio shows after the fact? I mean, I'm doing 3 hours a day now, guys. Come on. I don't know that Silverbacks is going to win any popularity contest. And that's the problem. I don't know. Has the MLS team, Carlos Bocanegra is running the technical side. Got Arthur Blank in charge of the, he's the owner. And then there's somebody else I'm missing who's running the business side of things. And I wonder how they're going about that process. Terminus Legion runs a poll. Has the team itself run a poll? Has the Atlanta Atlanta Journal-Constitution run a poll? Who's the soccer guy in Atlanta? We need to get that guy on the air. Or soccer writer. It might be a woman. I don't know. That's the person we need to get on the air. Talk about this. All right. Tuesdays are slow news days. Unless you care about James McClain being in New York and possibly linked to an MLS team. Lots of transfer rumors in the world these days. MLS roster freeze is coming up. And then we'll have the summer to talk about some possibilities as well. Sum up with Stefan Ersfeld. Looks like Kevin Prince Boateng has been released by Schalke, but may not end up in MLS. Again, Jesse Marsh saying no. That doesn't mean some other team won't take a shot at it. But would you want Kevin Prince Boateng on your team? Would you? Kind of guy who feel like he could just disappear for a while. And I don't just mean on the field, I'm not playing well. I mean flat out disappear. Thanks again to Stefan for his time today talking about Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and other German football topics. Make sure you are following him on Twitter, UERSFELD. Occasionally he tweets in English. It's always good stuff. He writes in English at ESPN FC. Soccer Morning has a t-shirt, which I got mine yesterday, by the way. I didn't wear it today. I need a ruling on that. Can I wear a Soccer Morning t-shirt on the show? I mean, I guess that would show people what it looks like and they might buy it, but then I have to wear it. If I wear it out in public, is that would you ever see the lead singer of a band or anybody in a band wearing their own t-shirt? Do they do that? Is that a thing? Trevor, you've been in bands. Do you have t-shirts and you wore them? Is that a thing that you do? Are you promoting yourself or are you that guy? I don't want to be that guy. Trevor doesn't care. It's the right attitude. Don't worry what other people think. That's what I should do. I apologize. Yeah. I'll be all right. Soccer Morning mug at backheel.com/store. Soccer Morning t-shirt. 30fc.com. Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Morning. I am Davis JSN. Producer Trevor is Hey Hayward, Heyhay. And we'll be back on a Wednesday. There's MLS tomorrow. There's Canadian Championship tomorrow. Good stuff. We'll talk to you later. Bye.